Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our scenario is entitled The Secret of Castronegro, and it was written by Mark Pettigrew and Sandy Peterson. It's part of a collection entitled Ghastly Adventures in Erudite Lore. I'm your GM, and this is episode 3. We have, once again, a really cool recap by Ken Trench as his character Sam Steele. So, that being said, let's begin our journey into the darkness. Ken?
Sam Steele, private investigator to Julius Lane and the 3 professors, Hisney, Harlow and Haston, all from Albuquerque University. I've been employed to find Julius's cousin David and the good professor Dr. Godfrey. Julius put $500 into my hand and said there would be another 500 at the end of this matter. That's enough for a whole year's rent. However, as we embark on this journey from Silver City and on to our next points, we'll find that this story is only at the beginning of which there may be a bloody end. Here we are investigating David's house. We find an intriguing envelope addressed to him from a Father Alonso Valela from a Castronegro chapel. That name was to be significant. It was also the name of the 3rd missing person from the La Palga Hotel in Silver City, unrelated to David or even the missing professor. Talking to David's neighbours, we found some interesting information. We discovered that 3 strangers were seen standing outside of their homes, watching David's house around the time of his disappearance. 2 of them were stooped, untidily dressed. They were described as having strange misshapen teeth or buck teeth and green eyes. One of the men of the 3 was tidy, a dark suit and a trimmed beard. He was probably the leader of the group. One of the neighbours saw that the men had green eyes. There's something strange going on around Silver City, and it's still to give up its secrets. After extensive inquiries and a good meal from the housekeeper at David's place, Agapita, our party settled down for drinks that night, and the professors decided to play some poker with our good friend Lane, who has far too much money to burn. I think Hisney made a few bucks off him that evening. Anyway, we decided to get up early the next morning at 8 a.m. to get ready for our investigations. And we decided to split up into 2 groups. The professors went to the Silver City College, and myself and Lane went to meet the sheriff in town. When we got there, he confirmed my own suspicion that the 3 cases were linked. However, Lane's hangover was so bad he nearly threw up all over the sheriff. Not exactly the best introduction. Lane is an interesting, slightly twisted character. He has far too much money to burn, but I'm willing to take advantage. Meanwhile, the 3 professors went to the Silver City College, as I said, and met a Professor William Klein of the History Department, who knew of the missing Professor or Dr. Godfrey. He told us that Godfrey was interested in the Gila cliff dwellings in the National Forest Park. That's another lead for us to check in the morning. We may find evidence of the professor there, or his remains. One final strange occurrence was while relaxing at David Lane's house, I happened upon a newspaper article from the 28th recently. It got Harlow very interested due to his forensic and natural interests. The mutilation of 92 head of cattle from one of the farms around the area. The newspaper describes it as the unseen butchers. This has been going on for some time, but never to this extent. This also happened around the 18th and 19th of September. The cattle's tongues and genitalia were removed. It's pretty brutal, and sent the owner of the ranch fleeing to Portugal, we understand. So what is this to do with the missing people? Nothing, it seems. But it begs a question: what strange practices are going on around Silver City and the outlying districts? We certainly have something to check out in this old native land. What is the connection between David and the missing boy from the hotel and Castronegro? And is there any evidence of the professor up in the cliff dwellings in the National Forest Park? That's our next job.
Outstanding. That was really, really cool, Ken. All right. What do you guys want to do?
Well, is it the next morning?
Sure. It is the next morning. You've had your breakfast.
Okay, well, I heard there's a sale on beef, so we should probably go pick some of those calves up before they start rotting. No. We'll make hamburger patties for everybody.
Seasoned in the sun. Properly aged. It's the morning. What are your intentions? Are you I know that you're heading towards the Gila National Forest. You said that that's one thing you're going to do. Is there anything you wanted to do before you leave?
We had talked about going back to the campus to try to see if Lane had interacted with any of the students there.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That was something the professors forgot to do on the first trip to campus.
Yeah.
All right. So if that's what you're going to do, you head back over to the university. Is it a university or college?
Teachers College.
Teachers College. That's right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you tell me what you're going to do. There's kids everywhere. Well, kids, they're young adults. They're some of them are getting ready for class.
I'm assuming we have at least a photo of Lane.
Okay.
Can we show that off?
You have photos. Yeah, sure.
Are you all right doing that, Mr. Lane? Showing off this photo to see if anybody recognizes him?
Well, someone's got to get it done.
Oh.
Me and Steele, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm happy to help.
Is it Lane, though, or is it the Professor Godfrey that we're being teachers?
We've already hit the Professor Godfrey angle, so I think we're going for Lane.
Oh, okay.
I think we're going for the students this time, because last time you guys got the teachers, but not the student body. So
It
I don't
was
know
to
if
do
that's going
with.
to make a difference.
I believe that you were concerned whether Lane was picking up young girls.
Yeah. So we will try to emulate that behavior.
All right. How long would you like to spend doing this? Let's say you've got about an hour before classes start, and people will start disappearing.
At least an hour and a half then. Do that hour before they get to class, and then spend a half an hour kind of perusing the grounds, finding the cool kids who are skipping class, maybe convince them to come into my car. Oh, no, I don't have the Bentley. Shit. So less impressive. Want to see my University Express vehicle? It's the
Somehow I think the people who are going to Teachers College can't afford not to go to class.
You never know.
All right. Why don't you do? Pick one of you to do a luck roll, but you're not allowed to compare luck rolls.
What about charm?
No, just luck.
No. No. That's not going to be me. That's not me. I failed.
All right. We'll say that you spend an hour and a half and you don't find anybody who recognizes David's picture.
Well, we tried.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, are we going to head to the mountains?
Yep. So make sure we get a little bit of food to go with us here, just in case, and make sure our water's topped off. And
we'll say it's about 9:30.
Swing on by the general store. We should be able to get some good rations.
Sure.
Do we know if we're heading into a town, or are we headed into the woods?
I think it was a pretty remote area. I mean, they kind of described where to turn off the road at, but it might even be helpful if we had some more specific drawings of the area, if that kind of thing is available.
Let's see if I can.
I'm figuring if there's a church out there, there's got to be people.
I was going to say, this is to the church. We're going to the church first before we go to Castronegro, I guess. Trying to find...
The church is in
I think, is in Castronegro. Yeah, you're right, Jim.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I've zoomed in on this picture here. I can show this to you.
Okay, so we want to go past the Gila monument and straight into Castronegro then?
I think the idea was to stop at Gila and look at maybe the cliff dwellings on the way to Castronegro. Is that right?
Yeah, that was the plan, as I recall, is to stop off the cliff dwellings area, see if there's anybody around, and see if there's any evidence of
what Dr. Godfrey was doing there.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's just I think it was just a bit southwest of Castronegro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can see the map there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you see the little really windy road going up into the Gila National Forest. Now, the Gila National Forest, on the edges, it's just kind of scrub brush, but very quickly pine trees fill in, and it gets it never gets really dense until you're in the middle of it. But it's mostly hills and small mountains, and lots of pine trees and lots of scrub brush. But it's relatively dry. It's a dry forest. It's not a wet forest.
If you men aren't that familiar with this territory, doesn't it behoove us to get a guide who is familiar with this territory? I mean, you've gotten us here, Ben, and that was adequate, very adequate. I'll give you that. But shouldn't we maybe use some of connections to get us a guide, someone who knows what the fuck they're doing in this type of territory?
Do we have an office for the Forest Service here? Because if anybody's been in the National Forest, they're the guys who go in and out of it all the time. You know, forest rangers.
I'm not sure when national forests were actually established. That was
they were
Roosevelt?
established.
That was Roosevelt, the original.
Yeah, the Gila's already established national forest at this time, and the forest rangers would be going in and out patrolling it. And in fact, they're also de facto, if I'm not mistaken, at this time they're also de facto law enforcement for the National Forest as well.
Okay.
This would be the perfect person. So they're armed too, right?
Yes, they would be armed too. In fact, actually, they are. They have the powers of a. This is out of character or sort of pseudo character, but they also have the powers of a U.S. Marshal too.
Well, why don't we buy one of these men to, have them, rent him, or whatever the local legislation needs us to do. I'm more than willing to make a donation, or get them a hospital or some education, appropriate, whatever they need. Now, would my business skills kind of go into, would that help on like how to massage one of these guys out?
Well, you're talking about U.S. federal government here.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I would deal with probably often, a titan of industry.
That's up to you. You can try.
Sure. What would you like me to try though? Like what?
I don't know. You got to tell me what
I'll make.
Why don't we ask at the general store? That's a good starting point. If not, I can go over to the sheriff's department and ask them there.
Wasn't there some talk we had to go to the county hall anyways? The courthouse. We were going to get
another place to check.
Yeah, when we go to the courthouse, and then we're going to get some. We're going to get some maps. I thought there. To find out who owned the church. I think that was. So maybe while you guys are doing your library use there, I'll try and talk to someone, charm some of the officials into getting us some people. Does that sound decent, guys?
Fair enough for me.
Sure.
So you want to go to the city hall in Silver City and see if you can find anything about the church in Castronegro?
Well, I thought, and maybe I'm mistaken, but isn't this the record for the county?
Yeah, they would have county records here.
Probably.
Okay.
Or Albuquerque would probably have more records there. All right, that makes sense.
So then while
go ahead.
they're doing that work, I'll go and talk to the highest level official I can get my ears to and see, or the appropriate one rather, and see if I can't get a federal marshal escort. Or not it's not a federal marshal, a federal
forest ranger
officer. Forest ranger.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do the Hall of Records first, if that's what you're going to do. Let me think. So you go to the Hall of Records, and I can give you some bits of information. You don't really find anything specifically on the church, except that it was probably built in the late 1600s, early 1700s. But aside from that, you do find some information. These are bits of information that you find after about an hour's looking.
Sure, you'd like someone to read these?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll take it if that's all right. Castronegro is a small New Mexican town located about 40 miles north of Silver City, just 5 miles east of the northern Gila River. The nearest railroad station is in Silver City. Castronegro was founded in 1680 by a wealthy Spanish nobleman named Bernardo de Diaz. He led his family there along with two other families, Vilhelga Pereira and and Jimenez. The town's original name was Agua Blanca, but the name was changed to Castronegro sometime in the late 18th century. The reason for this change is unknown. In 1728, during the Inquisition suppression of Madrid Freemasonry, many Spanish refugees fled persecution to Castronegro.
That's about it. A little bit of info on Castronegro. Julius, you are about the closest you can come is the sheriff. There are a couple of rangers in charge of the national park, but they are not there. They are somewhere out in the national park.
Well, what about one of your men? One of your deputies?
My men have things to do. They're not going to. I'm not exactly sure what you want. Just to drive you around, or?
Well, I mean, having adequate protection and having a man who kind of knows the land.
Protection from what?
Well, we've got 3 men missing already. The people I'm working with, they aren't exactly the most competent or robust. And I was hoping that, I could make a sizable donation to one of your organizations, you of your choosing, and have one of your men accompany us.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's just out of the question. We don't. This isn't Albuquerque. We don't have the kind of manpower that can just up and follow you around wherever you'd go to keep you safe. We have jobs to do here. So, you know,
Well, I mean, I'd be willing to do it
this investigation is at this point very low on our priority. Adult people disappearing is not high. We have far more important things to do than work on this with you.
And I can see, you know, all of this dusty town must have to offer in crime and adventure and profits for that matter. Your public library is capital. So none of your men would be willing to come with me for $500.
It has nothing to do with money or whether they're willing. It's a matter of they have stuff to do.
So yeah, are the deputies there?
No, they're doing things.
Oh, then I totally made an ass of myself. I was hoping the deputies were there, so I was going to be like, come on. All right, well, yeah, if the deputies aren't there, then, well, can you at least point me in the direction of somebody who may know the lay of the land that may be able to help this situation since you're not able to?
Other than people that, you know, come from that area or the Rangers, I can't think of anybody.
All right. Are you positive? So there's nothing you need that could change your mind?
No, sir. Sorry.
All right. Well, where are these Rangers then?
Wherever they are. I don't know. I don't keep track of the Rangers.
Damn it, man. What kind of town are you running here?
I'm not running the town. I'm just a policeman. I'm doing my job, sir.
And spectacularly, I must say. Hats off. And I leave in a huff, and then you know, that's it.
All right.
There's obviously no buy in this guy, so.
So, somebody's going to murder you for your money.
Well, you know, to be fair, I thought there was gonna be the deputies there, so I kind of imagined that there was like, you know, he's kind of defending his deputies as they're like, you know, doing paperwork or something. That's why I was gonna be like, you know, $500. Let's fucking go. Forget your old jobs, you know, like, but and then, you know, unless I see them around, I can't really make that offer. But if I see them around, I'll definitely offer it to them.
All right. So you guys get back together.
Well, we found some general information about Castronegro, but really no specific property information. We could not find papers that identified ownership.
I found some information about Silver City too.
What's
it's a shithole.
Welcome to New Mexico, there, Mr. Lane.
Yeah, it's the armpit of the United States. These men can't even be bought. I would have bought them a goddamn hospital. They don't even want that. Man, for a week. What is with this place? Don't they believe in capitalism? Damn it. I'm not driving there, just so you know. And he takes a big quaff.
You guys obviously realised that the name that came up in the founding of the town of Castronegro, Vilela Pereira.
Mm.
Yeah, one of our names on our list.
Yeah.
I say, guys, well, I think we've got 2 people still to find. Let's get moving. Let's get some sandwiches and go.
Okay.
Unless you want to look for a local tour guide or something like that, you know.
I know. The sheriff couldn't help us, and I'm afraid, you know, if he's the best this town has to offer, we may just have better luck in Castronegro. Now, I don't know about you, man, but I don't know if jumping into the bushes without a guide is the best idea. Maybe we should just go to Castronegro first, get a guide, and then go down into the national forest. Maybe we'll run into one of these forest rangers, because the sheriff has no idea what these men are.
Well, speaking out of character, whenever going to a national park, I've always seen entry posts and there, rangers collecting fees and all of that kind of stuff. Is there any chance that we're going to see something like that along the way? Would our characters know about that? If it's common to enter that big forest lands area and have to go through to pay a fee or some sort of tax for traveling along the roads?
In 1925?
No, you wouldn't be paying a fee. This is a national forest. This is actually public. This is land for the public.
Okay, so this is an isolated land then. They haven't kind of drawn a fence
it's
around
isolated. No, it's isolated, but it's very much. I mean, being a national forest, this is a forest set aside for the public, and it's in the 1920s. There really wasn't any kind of development or anything like that, and very few national forests have anything like a national park where you'd have like a ranger station or stuff for tourists or anything like that. Even to this day,
realize this isn't the Grand Canyon. This isn't the giant redwoods. This is just a freaking desert.
Yeah.
So it's like you could take somebody out there and murder them and nobody would ever know. So yeah, I don't think you're gonna have much luck with that.
Well, I'm still for heading for the cliff dwellings first. I think that would be worth looking at before Castronegro.
I
agree, Mr.
I agree.
I agree with Mr. Steele.
Hey Tom, with my archaeological background, have I heard of the cliff dwellings before? Do I know anything about them?
Are you from Albuquerque?
I was born in Arkham, but my residence is in Albuquerque.
Probably. I mean, you've probably heard of them, but you've never visited them. There's a lot of cliff dwellings and Indian sites and things out here in the desert, and probably a lot more interesting than this one in particular, but you might have heard of it.
I'm basically asking because I'm not 100% sure what it is. So is it like cliff dwellings? Is that the like holes in the mountains where they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's basically a cave that they built structures in.
Okay.
To keep the weather out. And to keep rival tribes from being able to easily assault them. Most cliff dwellings have, at least I'm not familiar with the ones in Gila, but I'm familiar with Pueblo, which have the key door like this.
Yeah.
So that you can only go one leg at a time through the door, which means that they could stand on the other side of the door with a club and just bonk you one by one.
Well, think a mini version of like Mesa Verde, because they were originally, if I'm not mistaken, they were originally Anasazi dwellings that were occupied by different Indian tribes afterwards and stuff, because it was a prime location. But they were there. It's kind of like if you've ever seen anything from Mesa Verde or Chaco Canyon, it's like a very small version of that.
I have pictures.
And looking around at our group, I'm going to ask, does anybody here speak Spanish by any chance?
I do.
Okay, great. Speaking of which, what does agua blanca mean? Is that black water or is that white water?
White water.
What does Castronegro mean? Not really sure. Negro is black, but Castro?
House?
Could I do a Spanish roll to see?
That's Casa. It would be Casa Negro.
If it was house.
You can, but I tried to look it up, and it doesn't really have a meaning that I could find. Oh, well, he rolled those dice right out the... We lost. We lost Joshua. The closest I could come up with was possibly castrated, but that doesn't make any sense.
I think
no black balls? Is that it? No black balls? No.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
My guess, and this is outside the game, my guess is they tried to make it sound like a Spanish-sounding town name, and they came up with Castronegro because there's no other town named Castronegro in the country.
Everything all set? You guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Sorry. Fucking my computer froze, and it was. I was like, I could hear you guys. So it took me a while to figure it out because I'm all like, dude, Tom keeps talking over me. I'm like, I asked like nicely 3 times. Like,
your overlay is gone. You can put the overlay back.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
All right. So you guys are on your way.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very narrow, very windy road. There are fairly deep ruts in the road, especially where it had rained and the ground had become soft. And you know that there is a bus that travels along this way, and it occurs to you. Do you remember what day of the week this is?
I think this is a Sunday.
All right. So you shouldn't have any problem with the bus. But you keep thinking that if you encountered the bus on this road, you don't know how you would get around it. You know, there's a few turnouts, but not very many of them. The road to Castronegro is about 40 miles of winding. So I would like you to all do a Constitution roll.
Oh, shit. There we go again.
Pass.
Not so much. I'm losing my breakfast.
Yeah, failed.
Yeah, you have to stop.
He puked
At least.
again.
What's that?
He puked again.
Oh, God, man. Learn how to drive.
How about you, Ken?
I'm good. I'm all good.
All right. So you have to stop at least twice because you get nauseous. And Julius pukes again. And who was the other one? Ford?
Yeah, Harlow.
Yeah.
Harlow's.
Yeah, Harlow pukes too.
Yeah.
So you guys are climbing ever upwards into the hills, but it's mostly hills. You're going up and down as you go. It's getting a little bit more green, but at the same time, it's still very dry. Eventually, you come to a spot where there is a fork in the road. And from the map that you saw, the fork on the left should take you to the cave dwellings, and the fork on the right should take you ultimately to Castronegro. So, I assume
This looks like the right place.
Yeah. All right, so you head along the road going towards the cliff dwellings, and eventually you get to a spot where your car can no longer go. There's a place where obviously people can park a car if they need to, and there is a dirt road that is heading up towards some cliffs. And after you get out and you walk for maybe 5 minutes or so along this road, you see this.
Before everybody walks off, I'm going to volunteer to stay with the car because I want to keep an eye on things there and let everybody else walk up.
You can do that, but there's nobody for 20 miles in any direction.
Still, safety.
We might need your forensic experience.
All right.
I've been around ruins like this before. My people used to make these. They're pretty spread wide across New Mexico and Arizona.
There's nobody
A lot of
there.
them have been busted down, but there's still plenty of them out there if you know where to look.
All right. Well, convince you. I'll go up, but I don't feel good leaving the car behind, to be honest.
It's an interesting observation from the day and age that we all live in. But coming from a small town at one point, we left our keys in the car all the time. Because why take them out?
I've got, as well as my pistols, I have a shotgun and a rifle. So I offer one of the rifle or shotgun to somebody, just in case we come across any wild animals or anything like that.
Do you expect trouble? I pull out my broom handle.
So
I don't expect trouble, but I don't want to be caught off guard, especially considering we've had disappearances and strange people lurking about.
I think the biggest trouble we're going to find up here is just watching where you put your hands and feet, but under rocks, and make sure you
Indeed.
got a clear view of that you're not going to get bit by something.
Yeah.
Does this look safe?
I mean, you could definitely hurt yourself, but people lived here for 1,000 years, and it's safe enough. I mean, obviously, you could fall off something if you were not paying attention, but I'm not going to make you roll dex rolls for it.
Okay, that's pretty much what I'm getting at. Yeah, am I going to have to make climb rolls and stuff like that? Because I will go wait at the fucking car if that's the case.
Well, it's a little tricky getting up there, but once you're there, I mean, it definitely was a dwelling. It's quiet. You can hear maybe a hawk off in the distance making a screech sound as it dives for a pigeon or something like that. And it's a fairly mild day. It's definitely cooler inside the cavern, the cave. It's an interesting archaeological site. What would you guys like to do?
I'd like to yell, David!
Your voice echoes, but no response.
I'd like to look for any sort of signs of formal research that might have been being done. Something perhaps that's been roped off, or you could tell that maybe it's been staged for study.
Oh, you find nothing like that at all.
Okay.
I'm going to look around and see if there's anything that pops up that seems interesting, that seems out of place. Obviously out of place.
Why don't you do a spot hidden for me?
I am completely oblivious.
Okay.
I'm also wanting to look for anything specifically, that might relate to Professor Godfrey being here. Maybe a notepad or items of clothing or something.
Okay.
Along that line.
Go ahead and do a spot hidden.
Oh, I forgot. I go, Godfrey!
Yeah,
No,
good success. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That was a success. Yeah.
Well, as you're looking around, you see almost no evidence of people being up here recently, except maybe a little bit of garbage, like paper bag or something that was crumpled up and just thrown in a corner, because people do shit like that.
So it's almost like tourist trash or something like that.
Yeah, maybe somebody who was camping just came up here and didn't have the decency to take the trash.
Maybe signs of a camp, or maybe it's been there for any period of time now.
No, not really. Maybe some shuffle marks in the dirt from other people who've hiked up here and taken a look. But it doesn't look like it's a popular place. There's nobody here. You didn't see anybody on the road. It's kind of remote.
Are there any drawings on the walls, even in the caves or somewhere nearby?
Occasionally, you do see some pictograms and things like that on the wall, especially in flatter areas, but also in the cavey, parts that weren't built. Why don't you do a spot hidden for me?
I got a hard on that. 11 out of 25.
Excellent.
Now that's different.
Is that Burning Man?
You see that very interesting wall painting with what looks like a human being in the middle, but there's something strange on either side.
I am very familiar with the Hopi Anasazi language and the written form of their communication. Does this connect with that or relate to that at all? Anything that I can make sense of here?
Well, it definitely seems within the style of the Indians of the area, but you have no clue what those other figures are.
And this looks older. It doesn't look fresh, like someone has just recently done this, right?
Correct.
I make sure everybody else gets a chance to see this too and point it out. So this looks like a local style, but I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this before.
Interesting.
Is that an aardvark on the right-hand side with spiky hair?
What's an aardvark?
An anteater.
An armadillo.
The one on the right almost looks like a volcano to me.
I think it looks like someone has lost their head.
I'd say porcupine, Christmas tree, alien pot dude.
I say to the professors, you know, trying to get into the mindset of Professor Godfrey. If he was interested in archaeology and such like, where would he want to go, or what would he want to be doing around here? Is there any kind of psychology of the professor? Because obviously you guys knew him, you know, that you could maybe kind of guess what you would want to be doing up here.
Well, I believe that was his primary interest, was psychology. And whenever we talked about the natives, it was typically superstition and lore. And, you know, he wanted to know about the trickster and, different ceremonies that might take place on the reservation still. Oh, recall it.
Trickster.
The trickster, the fox. Yes.
To you, it always seemed like it was his hobby. Just not a passing interest, and a real interest, but not anything that had to do with his profession.
It's just stuff we talked about in passing.
Yeah, I would like to maybe take a walk outside of the cave. You know, I'm trying to think of what the professor would be doing up here, and without getting myself into too much danger, maybe kind of take a walk round the top of the hill or around the side of the hill to see if there's maybe anywhere else he may have been exploring.
Okay.
I'm going to do the same thing, but in kind of the opposite direction.
Okay. Why don't you all do spot hiddens?
Okay. I'm going to stick with one of those guys because they're armed. Just success.
I failed.
You're going to fail.
Fail.
Oh, okay. Well,
success, but barely.
You find yourself wandering about for about an hour and a half. And in that time, other than those little drawings, you don't find anything interesting at all.
Back to your car then, men?
Yeah, let's get to the church. I don't know of any other reason to stay here, and we certainly don't want to be out here at night, I wouldn't think.
No, I think we're just burning daylight at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take it to church.
Do any of the other professors know what particular Indian tribe might have been out here at this location? I'm hearing other names being thrown about. I'm just curious if we know.
Well, the most notorious ones are the Apache.
Okay.
All right. So you guys get back in your car, and you continue down the road. You still have about 10 miles to go. Why don't you go ahead and do a Constitution roll for me?
96.
Make it.
Easy.
Pass.
Oh, yeah. Shit. I actually made mine. All right. Yeah.
Julius realizes that if he keeps the window rolled down and his head stuck out.
But I'm just filling my gut with whiskey, like selling. Yes, it's
But
the trick.
somebody got a 96 there, so they didn't quite get the door open fast enough.
Yeah, that was Professor Haston.
Oh,
He was writing bitch. That's not good.
Sorry,
All right.
man.
All right, you go along, and the area kind of flattens out a little bit. There are hills and mountains in the distance, and hills all the way around you. But Castronegro is kind of in a little valley area. It's relatively flat right where the town is. But as you pull into town, how do I describe this? First, you see like one homestead over here. And then you go for a while, and then maybe there's another one and a field. You can see a field. And then you can see the town coming up, and it gets more and more dense as you go into the town, but there's not much to it. There is definitely a little center of town, and this is kind of what it looks like. It's actually kind of quaint looking. Much nicer looking, I would say, than what you've seen in Silver City. However, it's still, dusty, dirty, Spanish sort of town. And you are coming in from the south on what turns into Diaz Avenue. There's a little town square with the chapel in the center of it and little buildings, most of them 1 or 2 stories high, except for the Herrera Hotel. You see the bus stop where the bus would normally stop there.
wow. There's more to this town than I was expecting.
Yeah. Why don't we get rooms at the hotel before we go much further? I think we all could use a bit of refreshing after the professor's expulsion, I guess. What are you saying?
Yeah.
That sounds like a good plan.
I definitely need to clean off these pant legs.
Okay.
You did get most of it in your hat. I will give you that. That was commendable.
You find a parking spot just right in front of the Herrera Hotel. It does not look really particularly busy. Once again, this is a small town. You don't see a lot of traffic. You do see the occasional people walking up and down the street doing shopping or whatever. All right, you park your car and you get out and you walk up to the entrance to the Herrera Hotel. And you go inside. There is a man behind a desk. You can see that the first floor is mostly a lounge, as well as the front desk, and the rest of the rooms are probably all upstairs.
Great. How many rooms do you have available for the night?
I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
How many people do you have? Let's see.
Can you accommodate 5?
Certainly. Let's see. Sure. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Okay. Are any of those are they your best rooms?
It's $2 a night. The rooms are all the same.
You don't have any rooms that do they all have indoor plumbing and the such, or?
There is a shared bathroom. There are 2 shared bathrooms, one on each end of the hall.
Do you have any rooms with their own bathroom by any chance?
No.
Okay. $2 a night, you said?
That's correct. That includes meals.
Okay. And credit for the bar? You have a bar here? Oh, no. Just kidding. Damn. Prohibition.
You're looking for a bar, huh? Well, you didn't hear it from me, but Sancho's down on the corner. It's a gentleman's club. Well, let's call it that.
Let's call it that. I think
Gotcha.
for the tips, sir. And I give him $20.
Yes, sir.
Please make sure the rooms all have clean towels and such.
And he goes, ding, ding, ding. He says, Lucia. He says, make sure rooms 4 through 8 have clean towels. And she says, yes, senor. And she goes,
Oh, gonna help us with our luggage there? Got a man for that?
I'll help you. You have
Excellent.
luggage?
Not much.
I didn't think you brought any luggage.
No,
You
I
didn't
don't
bring any
think.
luggage.
I don't think we were really expecting this. I say to the professors, on the way up here, I'm quite surprised at this town. Did you notice a building that looked like a library coming up?
I did. That's one of the things that kind of amazed me. I wasn't expecting half this stuff. I mean, this is pretty big town for being out in the middle of nowhere here in New Mexico. I'm impressed.
I mean, they must be. I wonder what the secret to the prosperity is here, because the town has obviously flourished. You know.
Well, I don't want to give you the wrong impression. This is not like a city. This is
Right.
These are little wooden buildings, and
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, this seems like to me, this seems like everything you'd have in like an 1860s Western town, right?
Well,
Like
the Herrera, it's all adobe and wood. The Herrera's got a lot of stonework to it. So does the church. Remember, this town was founded in the 1600s.
Mhm.
right.
So most of these buildings are old.
Have been around.
It's just your top quality maps, Tom. That's all it is.
I know.
Yeah. It makes it look more sophisticated than it is.
Well, I'm like, I hope they have a tobacco shop here, because I'm nearly out of cigarettes.
They do have a tobacco shop. It's on Church Street. The proprietor of the hotel tells you.
What about have you ever seen any rangers around here, by any chance?
You mean the rangers from the forest? Not usually. Occasionally, maybe somebody will come and get a drink, but this is really a self-governing area. We have a sheriff. We have a constable.
Okay.
Where's he, at the jailhouse?
Correct.
Okay. Maybe I'll run him and ask Sanchez. I got another question. This might be unusual, but have you ever met a David Lane by any chance? Ever meet him? Has he ever come around?
David, it doesn't sound familiar. No.
How about a Dr. William Godfrey?
Dr. Godfrey? No.
Might have appeared
Is he a
doing some
medical
studying a couple weeks
doctor?
ago. No, doctor of psychology.
No, we don't have anything like that in this town.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking as a permanent resident, just someone perhaps traveling through. He was an associate of ours back at the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque.
Well,
You have
if
a
he was
picture of him,
here, he
right?
didn't stay in this hotel.
Okay. Well, thank you anyways.
Maybe use the pseudonym. I show him a picture of David, and I show him a picture of Godfrey. Well, you have to show him a picture of Godfrey. I go, yeah, you sure? Have you ever seen this man, son?
No, never seen him.
What about this is I'm sorry for asking Brady all these questions. And
No,
by all means,
sure,
sir,
sure.
I assure I'll make it worth your while. But also, this is gonna be sense. This is just the craziest thing. But have you ever seen what appears to maybe be a native man? But the unusual thing about them, these two, are they have green eyes.
Green eyes.
Right.
Half the town has green eyes.
And they're Native American? Half the town is native with green eyes?
Well, most of the town is mixture of Spanish and Native American.
I never realized that. I'm new to these areas. Curious.
Yeah, but half the town, that's a genetic trait that's very common in most of the people of this town.
Which is news to me, sir. Yeah, sorry.
Now, this particular man does not have green eyes. He's got brown hair and brown eyes.
I asked what's the guy's name again?
You didn't ask him.
Okay. Well, ask him his name.
Juan Herrera.
Juan, is the folks with the green eyes, is it they descended from one of the particular families from the town in the early days?
A lot of the Diaz, a lot of the Vilela Pereira family. Yeah, them mostly.
Okay.
They're probably the oldest families in the town. They founded the town, so they've been here all this time. Most of the town is owned by the Diaz family. I don't know if you saw it or not, but that big house on the hill, that's Bernardo de Diaz's house. He's a direct descendant of the original founder. I think he's number 4.
So is he like the governor of the town or something like that?
Nah, he's just the rich old guy that owns most of the property. I gotta warn you, don't make too much of yourselves in this town. Diaz doesn't like strangers very much in his town. He's kind of xenophobic. And
not unheard of.
Well, that's some good advice.
So keep your nose clean. That's all I can say. I'm sure that you're very nice people, and there's other things in town that might be of interest. There's a bookstore, La Tumba. They deal in curiosities. It's a curiosity shop. They're over on Vilela Pereira Street. There's tobacco shop. You mentioned the tobacco shop. There's a small library. Other than that, a lot of the buildings are abandoned. The town had its heyday a few, decades ago.
And where's the
What was that?
Don't mind me asking.
Sorry, on you go.
What's that?
On you go, Professor.
No, don't mind. I ask Juan. If you don't mind me asking, what caused the people to leave the town and the abandoned buildings there?
There's just not much business up here.
What business is up here?
Just the things you see. Mostly farming.
Ranching,
farming. Yeah, other than that, there used to be silver mining, but that's long since gone.
So the mines were spent.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't even know where they were.
So they was the Herreras involved with the silver mining back in the day, or?
Oh no. Honestly, I don't know all about my family. I know that let's see, what was one of my more famous ancestors? Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
I wonder if he knew Joaquin and could share any news about him or any information about him. It's a small town. I would think maybe he'd know who he was.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
Joaquin Vilela Pereira. I think.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to speak around you.
I heard that he ran off somewhere.
Oh, the way we heard it told was that he was missing.
Well, kids.
Yeah, indeed.
Did you know him?
Not really. I think that He's what's his name? Oh, hold on, yeah, got all these names. He's Philip's kid, or Philip's nephew, I think. Philip raised him. His parents died a long time ago, and he's always a troubled kind of kid. Philip owns the tobacco shop. Might ask him.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
He says that his ancestor was first ancestor that came here was Gabriela de Herrera, who migrated here from Madrid, Spain. But that was sometime after the town was established.
I turned to a couple of the professors and mentioned the fact that the bookstore is the name of the bookstore that your own Professor Godfrey got his, I'm not going to try and pronounce the German book, that occult book that you were looking at. So
Yeah.
that's where...
Oh yeah, the
for
German
$100,
dumpling book. Yeah.
Yeah,
it came
dumpling
from
book.
that shop.
Mm.
So that might be worth some of you educated gentlemen having a little conversation with the shop owner at some point.
I'm going to turn to Juan and ask him, sir, has there been any just an offhand thing? Have you seen any German families or individuals coming through the area, or know of such in the past 20 years or so?
German?
Yeah.
No, not that I can think of.
I'm just kind of curious. I hear tell that there's been a lot of German investors since the turn of the century and before the war that were in New Mexico and Arizona and in northern Mexico and stuff, looking at stuff. Just curious off the top of my head there.
I mean, you're talking European foreigners. I don't think that Bernardo would care much for for that.
Fair enough. I wouldn't blame him on that.
I say, well, guys, I'm going to go and get some smokes. But before I go, I ask the guy, where's the best place around town just to get to know the locals and find out what's happening and things like that?
Well, Sancho's probably. You'll, this time of morning, there's not going to be much going on there. But in the afternoon, you got to pay a fee. You got to join the club.
Okay.
Seems perfectly
No
reasonable.
problem. Other than Sancho's, where do people usually hang out? Got a general store area or a restaurant that's a cafe that people usually?
There's no restaurant. There's this place. We got a pretty decent food here.
No.
Our chef is named. I told you this is kind of a sandbox.
Gordon Ramsay.
Is there any place where we can grab the materials from, like so we can look the map over again or look some of the evidence over again?
Gordon Ramsay, yeah. Ned Brown is the. I'm sorry, not Ned Brown. Samuel Garcia is the chef here.
Okay.
I'm sorry. What were you asking?
Just like we talked about last week, and we never kind of like finished it up. Was the conversation about like if there was a place we could find the info without taking screenshots of it? I never. Maybe we'll talk about that.
I didn't put that together. I think Jeff sent the files out.
Okay.
I can send them out.
No problem.
You want the map? Is that what you want?
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. I'd just rather look at being able to know what I'm talking about.
What kind of time are we at, Tom?
I'd say it's probably now about 2:30 or 3, because the trip was grueling and you guys did look around for a while.
I want to take a wander around town and go down to the tobacco shop and get some cigarettes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll go with Steel, see if they've got any fine cigars.
I'd also like to go.
Okay. So you guys are going to walk down to the tobacco shop?
I'm gonna take a wander on my own there, so I'll let you take care of those guys, and then we can hit my wander.
I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
Oh, I'm gonna go off and wander around the town just casually alone.
Splitting the fucking party again? All right, that's fine.
I just want to check on something here. I'll meet y'all at the tobacco shop.
All right. All right. So you head on down the street to Church Street and down to the tobacco, past the library, and down to the tobacco shop. And it's a small shop, but it's open.
I go in and say, is there somebody at the counter?
Yeah, there's a man who's putting stuff away. He's an old man. Looks like he's probably in his 60s. His back is to you. He's rather tall and lanky. His hair is silvery gray. And when there's a little bell on the door, when it rings, he turns around and you can see that his eyes are bright green.
I say, good afternoon. I'm looking for some cigarettes and ask for my favorite brand.
Of course. Well, we only carry this brand and this brand, but
Okay, well, I'll take some of them.
Chesterfields, probably.
I say, we're a small group of us visiting the town, traveling through the area, and I'm actually looking for some friends of these people that seem to have gone missing or lost. I'm wondering, is your name Philip at all?
Yeah. How do you know that? Philip Valera Pereira.
Yes. We heard about, is it your son or your nephew that was maybe missing too?
Oh, how did you hear about that? Yeah.
Well, I'm actually a detective, and I'm trying to help these friends find their missing friends too. And it just seemed such a coincidence that they had all gone missing from Silver City.
Did you happen to know my cousin David Lane by any chance? And I showed a picture. You ever seen him around?
No, I don't know who that is. As far as my go ahead and do a psychology roll on this guy.
Okay. That's something I'm good at. Oh shit.
Yes, pass.
When you mention Joachim,
Yeah, I also passed.
he's got a look on his face almost of disgust.
We mentioned who?
Joachim.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I pick that up and I say, was the boy in trouble or was he running away? You know, because
Boy was always in trouble. He's a complete disgrace to the whole Valera Pereira family. Just
Silver City.
I knew that he ran away. Of course I know, you know, the police called me and I came and picked up his shit, but you know, ever since his parents died, I've been taking care of him, and he's just been really difficult, especially once he, you know, hit the teenage years. He just
Sure.
Was he close to anybody?
as close as any family member is, but
Well, you know how young people are.
A problem, you know.
They usually get those bad behaviors, but not you, of course, but usually by some friends. You know, maybe we might be able to make some connections with one of his acquaintances.
Yeah, I know all of his acquaintances. He probably got in trouble with somebody, and that's the end of that. And you know, who knows? It's not something I can waste any more time on.
Well, certainly we'll make it worth your while, sir. What's your finest cigar? What do you?
Cigars. You got those choice over there.
Yeah, I'll take a box of them. Help yourself to as many as you like.
So he sells you the cigars.
Does he take any?
No,
Does he just shut the fuck down, or?
he's kind of shut the fuck down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of tried to empathize a little bit with him, and you know, you've obviously tried your best, and young guys, they do their own thing anyway, and it must be difficult. I've just got a young child, so I've not hit that point yet, and kind of just encouraging him that, you know, he's obviously had a hard time, he's tried his best, all the rest of it.
Can I do anything else for you?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you need? He seems really kind of annoyed.
Okay, I say, well, sorry for bothering you, but obviously we're looking for our own friends, and I just wondered if it was becoming a common occurrence around Silver City that people were going missing. So I give him a few extra cents, and I say, I'll be back for some more cigarettes tomorrow.
All right. Dr. Hisney, do a spot hidden roll for me.
Wow. Oh, wait.
What's that?
Oh, wait.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
As you are standing there, kind of in the back, just looking around, there's something that strikes you just a little odd. On the shelf with the cigars, with the various things, boxes here, boxes there, and all that, there's a little spot. The first thought that comes to you is it's like where somebody would just put a knickknack, you know, but there's 5 odd-looking little statues. They don't look American Indian at all. They're kind of ornate. But you don't really feel like it's something that you can just bring up in casual conversation. It's just kind of odd. There's 5 little statues kind of in a little circle.
Are they for sale? Do they look like, or do they just look like they're...
You don't see them.
Oh, right.
That actually was going to be my question. Are they on the shelf as if they're for sale, or are they just...
They don't look like it.
Okay.
Let's see. As you are leaving the shop, Dr. Gregor.
Okay.
Do you speak Spanish, did you say?
Yeah. Yes.
Go ahead and do a listen roll for me.
No.
Oh. Who else speaks Spanish?
I do, but I'm not there.
Oh, you're not there. Okay. All right.
I was quite a ways off. I can't spend any luck and get there.
All right. So you leave the shop and you're stepping back outside.
Can I ask more detail about the statues? Like, what are they of? Are they people? Are they places? Are they creatures?
They look like little people.
People.
But they were like wearing. They were made out of. It looked like they were made out of terracotta or clay. But you couldn't identify. What's your background?
Archaeology.
Archaeology. Why don't you do an archaeology roll for me?
Pass. Hard. 24.
Hard pass. Excellent. They definitely weren't American Indian. Maybe Asian. Like, yeah, it's not really your speciality, but if anything, you would kind of guess something Buddhist or Asian, something that you would see like in a a Siamese temple or something like that. Although not made out of gold, made out of terracotta. And not very large, only about 5 inches tall, maybe, each one of them.
Okay. But there were 5 of them. Okay.
Yeah, kind of in a little circle. All right, so you step outside. Dr. Robert, what are you up to while they're in there?
Going to be going around the town proper there, especially around the chapel, and looking at the buildings. Something what we came up with in Silver City caught my attention, and I'm going on layman's terms here because I'm personally not involved, but there was a mention of the inhabitants of Castronegro fleeing from Spain in regards to an inquisition in regards to Freemasonry. And the thing that has my attention that I want to kind of look into is there any evidence of what may have been a Freemasonic gathering place, a lodge or insignia or cornerstones on some of the buildings that have a mention of, like the square and compass and, or maybe a dedication, or even the church too.
Why don't you do a spot hidden for me?
All right. Passed.
As you look around and you are looking specifically like for cornerstones and stuff like that.
Yeah. Keystones, cornerstones, things that a layman would know.
You don't see anything that would indicate Freemasonry.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that in of itself seems kind of significant if it has something to do with Freemasonry, but there's no Freemasonry symbols anywhere.
Okay. Just kind of also looking around behind the church and kind of up and down the general area of the town. Anything that pops up?
Well, let's talk for a second about the church. It's definitely an old church, made mostly out of stone. It's a chapel.
Okay.
Let's see. It's it has a tall bell tower. It's got stained glass windows. It looks pretty much like an old Spanish Roman Catholic church. But there's something just off about it. Something that the way that it just sort of looms up there. You don't get a pleasant feeling from it. You get a kind of a ominous sort of feeling from it.
Well, and also the fact that it's stone primarily is very rare in the Southwest because usually it's adobe. Even the biggest churches are made out of adobe and maybe a little bit of wood. But having a stone church, I mean, this is something you'd see back east or in maybe a very large town in Mexico and stuff.
It also seems, now that you look around the town, and maybe estimate that there's probably, 500 people that would live in a town this size, it seems odd that there's not more churches. There's just this one. So maybe the foundations of the town, the founding of the town was all Roman Catholic. So they only built one church,
which makes sense for most small towns in New Mexico there. But it doesn't seem inviting. That's interesting.
Yeah, it seems maybe a little run down. There's just an air about it that's just not inviting.
Kind of poke around the back there. Is that where the graveyard is?
There's no graveyard there. No.
No graveyard. Okay. Anything in the back area? I noticed there was like on the map, the blue circle there.
There's a little fountain.
Fountain. That's still interesting.
The fountain has a statue in the center of it of a gentleman. Looks like some sort of Spanish gentleman.
Okay.
Probably the founder of the town.
What's the statue made out of?
I don't know. The hell is a statue made out of? Bronze, maybe?
Bronze.
Wow. I don't know. Okay, you say wow. See, I don't know what it would be made out of. So it's made out of what you'd expect it to be made out of.
Okay. So
it looks Spanish. It's got a very strong Spanish influence to it.
Okay, so it probably would, given it's in New Mexico and stuff, because not a lot of metal foundry type stuff. Be very uncommon to be metal. So okay, a wooden statue, all right, but a fountain that's uncommon.
Well, remember the town was founded by Spanish people from Spain.
Yes,
so.
True.
So okay.
Okay.
I take it back. There is a cemetery.
Okay.
I didn't realize, but it's on this map. The cemetery is actually, to the side of the church.
Okay. Just a few headstones, not many, not prolific, nothing new, or
a few headstones, a few mausolea.
Okay, mausoleums too. Okay.
But none of them very large. Lots of Jimenez, lots of Diaz, lots of Valela Pereira.
Right.
A few other names.
Okay.
Well, you see your friends coming out of the tobacco shop.
Okay. I'm going to wander over that direction there.
How the hell did I miss that on the map? Okay.
Hey, Dr. Harlow, did you find anything over there?
Just looking around the town, getting a feel of it here, and interesting. A lot of how the original construction of the town here is more in line with some of the older areas of Mexico, and using reflections of Spain and Spanish design. Not unheard of, but for way out here in the Gila, it's kind of I'd say it's kind of uncommon. I mean, you don't see very much in the way of stonework out this way. I mean, granted, not unheard of, but I mean, for a small town, a lot of stonework, especially the church.
That church seemed very old to you?
Oh, very old, but it just doesn't feel right. Maybe it's because it is made out of stone and uncommon. It just something about it just doesn't settle right with me. It's kind of a slight anomaly if you really look at it. I mean, how many towns from where you're from have churches made of stonework? I mean, even the big churches in the big church in Santa Fe, that big one with that crazy staircase. I mean, that's based along adobe and stuff. This is actual stonework here.
I wonder if the library has any stories about it.
That'd be a place for us to check.
Yeah.
But whoever came from Spain here was, artisans. He had a lot of artisans here, a lot of people who knew how to work with stuff. It's an uncommon thing out here, man.
So it is a really specialized talent to be able to build that then.
Oh, out here, absolutely. I mean, you'd have to have a quarry for the stone, and not only that, you'd have to have people who know how to work with stone. Which, coming from Spain, it's understood, but even still, most of the Spanish here usually adopted adobe for their buildings.
Can you tell if that is a local stone, or was that stone brought in from somewhere?
I can't tell that, unfortunately. perhaps a geologist could tell you a little bit more about what the stone is and where it may have come from. But it'd have to have been local to come here, and really, stone like this, it would take a lot to import if it actually was imported. It'd have to come from a local quarry. And it'd have to be a quarry that has some very, very high quality stone.
I've heard some stories of buildings being moved, but I mean that's a lot of weight to bring all the way out here.
Well, and you also got to think in the 1600s. I mean, you're going through wilderness, bringing a whole stone building through the wilderness. That'd have to be a monumental feat. I mean, it's maybe they got lucky and found an area that had actual quality stone that they could quarry out, and having people who are talented, maybe they all banded together and decided to put it up. But this is very odd. I mean, this is very, very odd, and the church is odd and stuff. I mean, look around you. Most of the buildings are adobe, or, you could see stuff that may have been built in the 17 or 1800s and stuff out of wood. Especially, when, this area was part of the whole, Lincoln County expansion or the Grant County expansion here for the cattle ranches and stuff. But this is, comparatively speaking, a big stone church in the middle of the Gila National Forest. I mean, that's interesting. It's an interesting anomaly. I mean, heck, if you get tourists, enough tourist stuff here, and the clergy is willing, they could have a real tourist thing on their hands here. But it could bring a potential industry to this place. I mean, just with the history and stuff. I mean, this is pretty amazing.
Tom, a question for you here. Mm-hmm. Would the skill natural world, would that give me some indication of whether or not this stone is actual local quarry, or is that related more to like plants and animals?
Why don't you go ahead and do the roll?
Sure. Nope.
Can I do a roll offhand just to
Sure.
maybe see if I correlate something?
Regardless of where that stone came from, boys, I would keep that under your
Actually
hat.
made it.
Most of it seems like granite that you would find in the local hills and mountains right around here. So it's not that unusual.
Okay, so it's a readily available resource, but to have the talent to assemble it, especially amongst these other types of structures that don't even match, would be pretty unusual.
But then again, if you gentlemen remember reading about the Freemasons and stuff, I mean, Freemasonry came out of the old stonemason guilds. So what's to say there's not some kind of connection with that? I mean, it would kind of make a little sense there, wouldn't it?
That makes sense to me. I mean, it could have just been a small group of Freemasons that came up from New Mexico, or from Mexico. Yeah.
Well, coming in from Spain and stuff. Apparently, the founders here were fleeing from the Inquisitions there because Catholic Church isn't too happy with the Freemasons. So.
Yeah, and there's major works all over Colombia, and they were bringing that stuff into the 1500s. You know what I mean? So it's I don't think it's insane that. I mean, I think it's unusual, but I don't think it's like unworldly for them to have something.
No, it wouldn't be unworldly there, but at the same time, this part of the world here, they worked more with what was in their environment, because Colombia and those areas, they had direct contact with ports and stuff. We're very far away from any kind of port. I mean, even in old Mexico and going into, when the Spanish were colonizing here, this was like to put it in a very rough way, the ass end of Mexico here back in the day.
Sure, but I don't know. Maybe with the mind, there could have been some economics. This town was obviously bigger earlier, so
it's possible.
At one point in time, it seems that church was needed for whatever its purposes were.
Well, they went to, let's just say, the way it's looking to me, they went to the nines here with building the church. I mean, this is I mean, like I said, even the big church in Santa Fe and the big churches, in the other larger towns and cities and stuff, mostly adobe and wood. Stone is this is uncommon. I mean, the big church in Las Cruces there that we passed by when we drove through, that's adobe.
I would keep that between us and maybe keep your investigations of it under your hat.
I agree.
I really don't want this Mr. Diaz to come under his radar unnecessarily. And if he's afraid of strangers then any acts that he may perceive unusual. Like if he may think that we're going to make this a tourist destination.
Well, I think people in general get sensitive when you start to draw attention to what's different about their spiritual or religious beliefs. And with an isolated town like this, we could easily upset someone by innocently poking at something that's just observation on our part.
Sure. I feel like if I were to bring up your odd speech pattern and your funny ears, that would probably make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Not my ears.
I say, excuse me, gentlemen. I've been mulling this over. We have two real connections in this town. Remember the letter, and I pulled the letter out of my pocket with the father's name from the church, who was corresponding with David Lane. And the other one is the book. And I asked Julius if he's still got that German book he was looking at with him on the trip.
Oh yeah, I have it on my side.
Because that may be an opportunity to go into the bookstore.
Maybe maybe approach him on a casual, because this is a sizable amount, and I suspect he probably took David for a bit of a ride. $100 for a book of an unknown author seems in this podunk town seems like a lot, but compared to my collection at home,
I can't remember. Was the book Godfrey's? Was that Godfrey's?
It was
book?
Godfrey's.
Yeah. So.
Oh, was it?
And
I thought it was.
Sorry, on you go. The book connects Godfrey to this town with that.
Yeah, I found it in Godfrey's study.
Gotcha.
And the letter connects.
Yeah, I would seriously also keep the fact that we have the book with us under our hats.
Yeah, I think it might be a more casual conversation. Maybe we see him at Sanchez's or something. Buy him a drink, see what he thinks about the occult or whatever talk of the day is. Rather build a rapport before we just.
Let's get a rapport with the book owner, the bookstore owner, before we mention anything in particular. Let's see if he even knows about Godfrey coming in and is willing to talk about it, and then we could proceed from there.
I suspect it would be unlikely that he would forget Godfrey if he spent $100 on that book.
Yeah,
in this town.
I highly doubt
unless he's willing to not mention Godfrey at all.
Mm-hmm. Which would be saying something in itself.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's be careful here, guys. I agree with you, Julius. I think we need to be careful.
I'm interested in following that up and going to the bookshop.
Hey, Robert, can I ask, when you were walking by the church, did you notice any people out? It's Sunday afternoon.
Not a lot. Just a few people going back and forth to here and there, but nothing out of ordinary for a small town. Church looked pretty darn quiet. But then again, that's I don't think anything's going on here. It's not service time. Well, it doesn't mean anybody's not in there. It's just not a time that I would suspect it to be active.
Okay. Just curious.
It just seems sizable, as if someone would live there, especially the way that the letter was addressed.
Well, I'm sure there's somebody in there. It's just I didn't see anybody just going around.
To the bookstore?
Or the library. I think we got a good, and the fact that they have a library here. I mean, a library and a bookstore in a little place like this is, places to look, but it's also kind of uncommon too.
Also, I mean, following up on the church and actually talking to the person that
Yeah.
this letter is addressed to, I think is probably a top priority. Certainly is for Julian.
Yeah. So where do we go, gentlemen?
Well, to the church.
Well, okay. Sam wants to head to the bookshop. I think I'm happy to give anybody going to the church the letter.
So the letter is addressed to this church, right? Like I read the address very neatly. And
if we all want to go to the church, let's just go en masse then. And
yeah,
you know,
I see what
the father has to say about it.
Yeah. Crack my knuckles.
I say let's go to the church and then check out the bookshop and then make our way around to the other locations.
And when do we get to Sancho's?
Later on.
Just to clarify, the letter that the envelope that you saw was from the church to David.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's definitely from this church. There's no mistaking it, correct?
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any other chapel in the church.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that it wasn't like, oh, it's the one next door. Like
All right, so the church is where you're going? I'm sitting here outside the game. I'm sitting here chuckling because I told you this is a sandbox, and so you'd say like the tobacco shop, and I'm like, find the tobacco shop information. Oh, now shit. Oh no, now the church. Oh no, like this. I've got these things spread
You just
out
brought up the entire
in front of me.
We want to go to every establishment, including private residences, in the entire town.
All right.
Let's make Tom's life exciting. Just go somewhere else instead. No,
no, fuck it. Let's back up. Right. We decided to go to Spain, which is a sandbox, and chase down that angle first.
Look at that greenhouse.
Let's go see if we can find Mr. Montoya in Portugal.
Yeah, we just don't know enough about the.
What makes you think I don't have that information? All right. So you're going to head to the chapel.
Yeah.
Okay. There are a number of doors. There are doors there are a door on each side, and there's a door, obviously the main doors of the church. Where are you going to go?
I say probably the side, because that's probably where the help goes in and out. I guess would that be right for us to assume?
The help?
Well, the people who work at the church, maybe the.
Okay. Let's see. You are on which side of the church? You guys were over by the tobacco shop, right?
We were.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys are approaching from that side of the church. Now the church is fairly large. I mean, it's not huge. As I say, there's a big tower on the west side of the church, and you are approaching from the south door. All right, you step through, and you're coming in to the side of the main body of the church. It's very quiet. You don't immediately see anyone in there. The general feeling that you get from the chapel is that it's barely used. It's there's a little bit of dust, more dust than you'd expect. It's fashioned up in the front, up in the altar of the church is definitely looks like a Roman Catholic setup. You don't readily see the priest. You can see to your left, which would be towards the main doors of the church, that there is a staircase that goes up to the bell tower.
Okay.
which you can see from the outside. And there's a door, of course, across the church from you, going back out again.
Okay. Does there seem like maybe an area where someone would be living here? Like,
well, they wouldn't live in the church, but the doors weren't locked. So there's probably
that's a pretty common Catholic thing. That's why I just assumed that because the letter is from here. You know what I mean? So I assume that you wrote a letter to someone you sent it from. All right.
Well, on either side of the altar area, there are doors. There are rooms, probably
Okay.
where they store stuff or like that.
All right. Let's check those rooms.
I'll knock on the door on the left.
Okay. When you knock on the door, you hear what sounds like a chair, sort of scrape for just a second, and footsteps approach, and the door opens, and there is a Catholic priest. He's in a black cassock that goes down to the ground. It's got the little Roman collar. He looks like he's old, probably in his 70s, and he's like, "Yes, can I help you?" He has green eyes, gray hair.
I don't know what the name of the priest on the letter was, but I pull the letter out and I look at it and go, "Are you
Father
this
Alonso.
priest, Father Alonso?
Alonso, yeah.
Alonso?
Yes, I'm Father Alonso. Hello, can I help you?
Yeah, you can. I'm Julian Lane.
Father Alonso, I think it's Villela Pereira.
I think it is, Tom.
Yeah, Villela Pereira. What can I do for you, my son?
As I said, I'm Julian Lane, David Lane's cousin.
Oh, David, yes.
Yeah, he's been corresponding with you.
He actually came here to visit me. He asked a number of questions about Castronegro. I told him that I would put together some information and send it to him. He seemed interested in the history of the town.
Is that the last time you saw David?
Yes, he said that he was heading back towards Silver City, and I haven't seen him since then. How is he?
Well, he's missing, and that's why I'm here from Arkham, Massachusetts.
Missing?
Yes, unless you know of his whereabouts.
I have no idea. I wasn't aware that he was missing.
Well, some of the information you gave him may be paramount. Is there any way you might be able to point us in the right direction?
No, it wasn't really anything interesting at all. Just the foundation of the town, information on the Villela Pereira, my own family, the Diaz family, Jimenez family, just the foundation of the town. Nothing really unusual at all.
And when did you send that out? That information to him?
Oh, let's see. I believe. Oh, you can ask.
Well, Lane's been missing since the 18th.
I sent that to him. I believe it was somewhere around August, maybe the end of August.
Pardon me, Father, but as what was the reason he was interested in the town? If you don't mind me asking, what did he?
I don't know. I think that he just had an interest in history. He seemed like a bright young man. I do hope you find him.
We hope so too.
Well, so would you mind if these men are doctors and scientists and very good with books, and could you maybe point them in the direction of the information that you believe David was interested in, and maybe they can coax out his state of mind?
Well, I mean, everything that I sent him, I basically hand wrote out to him, but it was stuff that you could find in the library here. Nothing really particularly interesting.
But it was all specific to the roots of the town.
Well, yes, and he was interested in. It seems to me he liked our cemetery, and I pointed out to him that although there are Vilela Pereira and various other members of the town that are buried there, there was a definite distinction in the town between the, what should I say, the more elite members of the family. Shall we say that the people in our cemetery are mostly the lesser members of the family. The Diaz family, they have their own vault, and the Villa Pereiras as well. That's outside of town. That's where all of the important members of the family are buried. He seemed interested in that. He was very interested in the construction of our church, that it, in the late 1600s. There may have been more. I don't remember everything that he was interested in. It was a while back. He seemed to have an interest, I think, in the occult, which I myself have mild interest in, but it's purely academic.
Oh, do you speak German by any chance?
Oh, no, not at all.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Spanish and English.
What interests you about the occult?
Well, it's part of my religious beliefs that the devil is always up to things. So one should always know one's enemy.
Sure, it's hard to argue that. Anything that you can think of that you've been very helpful.
Nothing that I can think of, but if I do think of anything that's helpful to you, I'll certainly tell you. I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to David. Or anyone, for that matter.
As they're talking, Tom, I'm going to look at the man himself. Is he a tall man?
Yeah, fairly. Kind of stooped over with age.
Is he wearing
not the best diet?
Large boots?
You can't tell. He's wearing a cassock that goes all the way down to the ground. It's a black robe. You can't see his feet.
Okay.
Does he have a little beard? Trim beard?
No, he's clean shaven.
There was this weirdest thing. I don't know if it was just strange, and it might. And you said you were familiar with their occult, but it could just have something to do with cobbling. Would you see? Look at my heel. I kind of show my heel. Can I see yours for a second? I just want to show you something.
My heel?
Yeah, I just kind of put my foot because I like to the side and say like, see, there was this really unusual thing, and it's just the strangest. It had something to do with the way a footprint was, and it was just very strange. And you being familiar with the occult, I thought you may be able to help.
Oh, I may have misunderstood what you said. You mean the heel of his shoe?
Yeah.
I thought you took your shoe off and you're showing him your heel. And I'm like,
Yeah, no.
what the hell is he doing?
Fucking Julius has gone off the rails.
Well, he sort of pulls up his casque a little bit and shows you his shoes. They're just like black shoes, black dress shoes, but not in very good condition.
Yeah, and I just kind of show him like what I was thinking of, like how there was a cross in the mud by one of his windows, and if he knows of anything significant about that.
It makes no sense to him at all. Nor does he have shoes like that.
No, that's like worse.
I ask, Father, can you tell me, you mentioned David had an interest in the occult, and I'm helping Julius here to try and find David. Was there something specific that he was maybe obsessed about or looking after down that line with the occult?
Not particularly. Nothing seemed unusual about what he asked.
Tom, I sent you a PM a couple minutes ago.
And as I look around the church, do I see any signs of Freemasonry?
No. Just Catholic iconography.
Okay.
Statue of the Virgin Mary, statue of St. Joseph.
And he has he has reference books here that are different from the library or the bookstore. He has his own personal library that he was pulling information for David.
I'm sorry, say that again.
No, Father Alonso has his own personal library that he was pulling information from.
No, he was just using. No, I was just using the regular library. He just seemed like he didn't have the time at the moment to do it, to do that kind of research. I believe he was getting ready to leave for Silver City.
Interesting. And was he paying you for this service?
Oh no! I wouldn't accept any kind of money for something like that.
It was very kind of you.
My pleasure.
Well, Father Alonso, if you think of anything else that David was discussing with you or that you might think is important, I tell him where we're staying at the hotel across the way.
Okay.
Sam goes out for a smoke.
As Sam leaves, I go to the Father's Father. Me and my colleagues here are also kind of investigating another missing person. One of our fellows from the University of New Mexico was in the area, and he too has disappeared. And we're trying to see if we can find out where he might be, or if he may be connected with Mr. Lane and his efforts.
He doesn't know anything about Godfrey at all.
Okay.
Well, I bid you adieu, and I'll definitely touch base with you later. Hopefully, I'll see you at the local watering hole, the Gentlemen's Club.
Oh, you won't see a priest there.
Yeah.
My character noticeably cringes when he says that.
I do hope you find him.
When do you have services, Father?
Sunday mornings early, but I often do services myself every morning early.
Okay. When you say early, is it sun up services then?
Yes, but there's usually nobody here. Okay. I have very few people who show up for church. Most of them go to somewhere else. I've got the name of the place. Most of them go to another little town called Mogollon, which is about 20 miles to the east. They prefer that church.
What denomination is that? What do they practice over there?
Catholic.
Oh.
Weird.
They don't enjoy the services here.
It's an old church. It gets cold in the mornings.
Okay.
I've been on the roads here. They are atrocious.
They take some getting used to. Yes.
Is this 20-mile journey? The roads there any better?
Not much.
Could you spell the name of that church for me?
Well, it's the town.
Oh, the town. I'm sorry.
The town of Mogollon.
Thank you.
Mogollon. Okay.
All right. Well, I thank him for his time and go check on Steele.
Thank you very much for your time, Father. Appreciate you very much.
Of course. All right. Did you all go to the church or did somebody go somewhere else?
No, we all went.
Okay. So you leave the church. It's now about, we'll say about 5 o'clock. The sky is changing color. It's still got another couple of hours, but you can tell that it's late afternoon.
I took a peek in the door on the other side of the altar. It was just a confessional. Everything looked on the up and up in there.
Mm-hmm. I kind of gather everybody to the side and say, well, we got another connection here, guys. Looks like both our professor and your cousin there, Julius, is interested in the occult.
Yeah.
And this seems to be an interesting place to find information about the occult.
I was thinking you nerds should go do your nerd work at the library while...
what is a nerd?
Well, you know exactly what it is. Bully! Oh, bully! You know what a nerd is. And Sam and I, we'll go peruse Sanchez. Stitchos.
Well, I would be interested to see if the bookshop's still open before we do that, and unless it's closed.
Well, this is Sunday, October 4th, I believe. I don't know if they're open at 5 o'clock, but yeah.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah, it's not open.
Neither is the library, or?
However, when you go, are you going to head over towards the bookstore just to see? Well, it's just across the.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll just go in a window shop and have a look about.
It's called La Tumba Curiosity Shop.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who know Spanish, it's the tomb.
So this matches the receipt.
Mm-hmm. There are fairly large windows in the front, and there is a tremendous amount of interesting and odd paraphernalia inside the window. Almost all of it looks Asian, even Balinese. There's a number of large statues, guardian, like temple guardians. It looks like quite an interesting store, although there is a light on in the back. The store is definitely closed.
Interesting.
The library is also closed.
Much as it is.
So what would you...
Is it worth chapping the door and annoying the whoever's in the back shop?
You're not even sure if they're there. It might just be that they leave one light on.
Is it Jeff's character? Is it his name? Is he with us on this walk?
His name?
I don't know. We said we were splitting up, so I didn't.
Okay.
Oh, are we?
I don't know. I wasn't.
Well, you're just if you're all at the chapel, then you're just standing outside the chapel.
Okay.
The La Tumba is just literally across the street. So.
Okay, well, I'll just let the guys know some of the weird stuff that was in the window, the kind character statues and things like that, and I'm ready for something to eat. If you guys are.
Let's go get something to eat, and then at a later time, let's all go check out the curiosity shop.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So you go to Herrera's, and the little, I guess it's like a restaurant lounge is called Benito's. The food is fairly decent. You notice there are a couple of other people who are staying in rooms upstairs that have come down for dinner. The dinner is complimentary; it goes with your bill, and it's fairly decent. The two other people that are in the room eating, they look like they are American Indians, probably Apache. They're not. They're, of course, dressed like farmers.
Mm-hmm. Green eyes?
No. You can't really tell, but they don't have the same cast as the Balena Pereiras.
Any strange footwear?
Not that you can see, no.
We all go around one by one looking at the sole of their shoes.
Yeah.
I don't think these are the guys. I think it's people from the village. You know, it's the whole green eye thing in this community. You know. However, I keep forgetting the professor's name. Isn't he Harlow and what's the other one?
Aston.
You know about the Canadian life, so if anyone wants to talk to him, I guess you would be the man. I'm enjoying my meal.
Yeah, I just make light conversation with the. Is it like separate tables, or are we all eating at one table?
They're sitting at their own tables.
Did anyone else find it odd that the whole town pretty much is going to another church 20 miles away?
That's very odd.
Yeah, it seems insane to me. The roads are here terrible. I wouldn't travel 20 miles to my mother's funeral.
Why would they? I mean, that's the thing is, why would, I mean, with a unique church like this, why would they ignore it?
This
is a unique. Something's odd, indeed.
How's that church even staying afloat? I mean, they have to have bills for money for maintenance and to pay the priest.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is the Catholic Church, so
he probably gets a stipend in there. That's about all he gets.
Yeah, with their land, and their power and clout, I'm sure they could easily maintain that church. I'm guessing.
There seems to be a lot of, like I mentioned, the statues that I saw earlier, and then the fact that Mr. Steele also saw the Asian. I'm having a hard time putting that together too, that we're in a remote town that should be Spanish/Catholic iconography, and we're seeing I don't know. I don't know if it's the people of the town itself or the church is somehow turned them all away.
I know, by having a German occult book in an Asian thrift shop in the middle of a New Mexican town. Just,
exactly. I mean, and a strong presence of occult. I mean, any good Catholic around here, you mention anything that's even remotely occult, they would have nothing to do with it. They would not allow it to happen. It would be gone in a moment. I mean, just to let it be here is not right. I mean, no good citizen in this area of the country would stand for anything remotely resembling the occult.
Mm-hmm.
And with these other symbols just openly sitting out in a display, that seems very very odd that they would be acceptant of that. Even if he had it behind the counter, it's one thing, but I mean, for window shopping and for anybody who just passes by to see that.
And what's the significance of having these things there in the first place? What purpose do they serve for the people out here? They're farmers and ranchers and maybe even a few miners and stuff. Why would they need all this stuff out here like this?
Well, with the mining, did they have a bunch of railroad come through here? Were any of the Asians in the railroad out here?
No.
There's no railroad here.
Okay.
Closest railroad, Silver City, and there would be no spur out this direction. And if there were Asians on the railroad, they wouldn't even come out this far unless there was some good reason.
Sure.
So as you finish dinner, what would you guys like to do?
I think we should get a drink. I'm dying. So who's with me?
I don't drink. Indian customers still there? Are the Indian guys still there?
One of them is. The other one's gone back upstairs.
I say, Professor Haston, would you want to accompany me? I'm just thinking if these guys are travelers, they may have bumped into either David or Professor Godfrey. We don't know. Or maybe they're workers in the area or whatever.
I'd be glad to accompany you, but I wouldn't expect them to do me any special favors. It's if they're Apache, there's certainly not a whole lot of love here. Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe not then. But I ask for the photographs, or I take the photographs of both David Lane and the Professor Godfrey over and speak to the guy that's left.
I'll hold the photograph and go over with you, I guess. Like, all right, well, we'll talk to them if you think that's the appropriate way.
The most you get out of this guy is that his name is Ned Brown, that he's just traveling, and he has no idea who those people are. But he's very stoic. He's very unemotional. You get a feeling from him that he's just really not interested in talking to you.
Oh, well, sorry to disturb you.
Especially since you're white,
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I'll bid you adieu.
Just a shot in the dark.
Yeah, can't hurt, right? I mean, it might have hurt us, but the repercussions won't come out for a while, I hope.
All right. So you mentioned that you were going to go get a drink.
Yeah.
All right. You finish with your meal. It was actually quite good. You exit the hotel, and you were headed. You just needed to make a left-hand turn and walk a little down the street, and between the door of the hotel and the corner, which you have to cross the street at the corner, before you get to the corner, a shot rings out and a bullet ricochets off the building right next to you, kicking up a little cloud of dust. It's dark by now, so you don't know where the bullet came from. And that's where we're going to end it. Okay. Our players included Ken Trench, Jeff Wilkins, Ford Fitch, Joshua Morrow, and Fred Carter, with yours truly as a keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our show, free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. Patrons of our show can now enjoy recordings of our pre- and post-game conversations when we first publish them. Some of the funniest and most interesting stuff occurs before and after the show. We have a new patron today, Matt Ryan, who is also the author of a number of the stories that we've done, and he's part of for crying out loud, I suddenly can't remember. Jeff?
Reckoning of the Dead, I think.
Reckoning of the Dead website, yeah, where they publish 1 single-page scenarios. He's pledged $5. Thank you so much, Matt, for your contribution.
Thank you, Matt.
If you'd like to become a patron, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month will help us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch that bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We love hearing from you. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.